With this project, I want you to work together to create a visual representation of an iron triangle for an association or an interest group that you've been assigned. In this particular example, I am looking at the National Mining Association. This is my end slide. You can see where I've created some kind of basic visual representation to use in my presentation that I can add to the class's shared presentation that we're going to be building. You'll only have 4 minutes to talk about the key information here. The other 2 points in this particular example, the National Mining Association represents the coal companies in America. I started by visiting their website. I started by looking at their website and looking at some of the key information about them, some of their goals, some of their recent initiatives, looking at what their purpose was. A second point of the Iron Triangle in this particular case is the Department of the Interior, specifically the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement. I happen to know that mining was something within the Department of the Interior, but you may have to dig for that. The whitehouse.gov will list all of the departments, but when you go into the various departments, you will then need to consider specific bureaus within each department as you are putting this together. Pick the best one. If you had just put Department of the Interior, I would have considered that lacking information, since there are more specific bureaus or agencies within that department. The final point of this triangle is the 2 committees, one from the Senate, one from the House. You don't have to go to the subcommittee level. The general committee is fine. In this particular example, all I did was I went to the Senate.gov and House.gov and looked at the list of committees and tried to get a sense for which one might be dealing with coal and mining. So I looked at the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee and then the House Committee on Natural Resources to confirm what I thought might actually hold true. What I did was I went to the committee and I did a search on the National Mining Association, and I was actually able to find that they had some testimony from the National Mining Association. Okay, so I could have gone to the Energy and Commerce Committee in this particular case too, and that might have worked depending on what they had been doing. So here I just went and I went up to the search and I went to National Mining Association. You can see it auto-filled since I've already done a search for this. And with the Natural Resources Committee, it went ahead and you can see where we've got some witnesses. And you can see just by looking at this, we can see the National Mining Association called on the Obama administration to whatever. And it just gave me an idea that the National Mining Association was working with this group and was doing what I had thought it might be doing. Let me see if I can go back to my iron triangle. The other thing I also added here was some key information. I did identify it as a private business group. I said that its best strategy might be blocking through litigation, especially with the Obama administration, the Democrats being in charge of the bureaucracy. They are definitely going to try to block, though they might initiate action. As you can see, they've done some testifying because the Republicans do control Congress. So it's an interesting mix when you have a split or divided government. What is the best strategy and tactic? It's going to be different for the bureaucracy and for the legislative branch depending on which party controls what. I also added a couple of key points here as far as money, because that is one of the biggest resources that they have. $600,000 they've made in contributions and over $5 million, almost $6 million in lobbying. So that tells you that the National Mining Association has some power and some clout. So if I was going ahead and presenting this in class, I would go ahead and talk a little bit about what the Mining Association does, how it is linked to the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, the House Committee on Natural Resources, and then the relationship that they might have with the Department of the Interior. I'm going to check for any recent regulations. I can go to the Federal Register and look for anything that is associated with coal or mining, and that might help me as well in my presentation.